Alright, so today we're going to be going over preseason rankings for the 2019 college football season. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat so you don't get confused. This is not my early week one rankings, but this is my preseason rankings. This is what I kind of expect to see towards the end of next season, towards when we get to bowl and college football playoff time. This is a whole different set of rankings than what you're going to see in week one. The week one AP pool will look much more different than this. This is what I'm just expecting throughout the entire season and what you kind of can expect from each team. We're going to start off with 21 through 25. We've got Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Utah, and Utah State. Starting off with the bottom two, 24, I've got Utah, Pac-12 school. I think they're going to be pretty good going into next season. Did a bumpy into the last season, but overall Utah had a pretty good year. Utah State's number 25. They're going to be one of two Group of 5 conference teams on this list, and the only team out of the Mountain West. Utah State, I do think, is going to be pretty good next season. They got a lot of returning talent. I really think this team has a ton of potential. They're going to kind of replace Boise State, I believe, going into the 2019 season. Nebraska and Wisconsin are your next two. Nebraska, of course, we've all heard the hype through that team, and I think Nebraska is going to be a great team going into next season. Lots of great talent on that team. We got Adrian Martinez, their quarterback. He is excellent. I'm really looking forward to seeing how well he does. Nebraska is going to be a very dangerous team going into next season. I expect them to pull off a couple of big upsets. Ohio State, that's going to be a huge game. I believe that they play them. That's going to be huge for Nebraska. Wisconsin, on the other hand, I think it's going to drop off a little bit. Wisconsin had a bumpy end to last season. We saw them lose a couple of games that they definitely shouldn't have. But Wisconsin definitely, I think, will still be a decent team. They'll be ranked for a pretty good chunk of the year, I think, even though they're going to be losing quite a few key players. I don't think Wisconsin will be quite to where they were towards the beginning of last season when they were really hyped up. But Wisconsin, I do believe, still will be a decent team next season. Northwestern is 21, so we got 3 Big Ten West teams in a row on here. 21 is going to be Northwestern. They're going to be a bit better than the other 2 teams from the Big Ten West. Like Northwestern, of course, they were a surprise team last year. Went to the Big Ten championship game. Really, that was a stunner for me. I really didn't expect Northwestern to get that far. I think that they'll be great again this season. Still a lot of talent on that team. Really like Pat Fitzgerald as well out there in Northwestern. But it'll be interesting to see how they do. I've got them at 21 right now. Your next 5, we've got Auburn, Washington State, Kentucky, Syracuse, and UCF. That's your 16 through 20. Starting off with UCF at 20. Mackenzie Milton got injured towards the end of last season. Kind of was a bumpy end of the year for UCF, but I do expect them to kind of remain at the same place that they kind of were last year. They've still got a ton of speed on that team. This team is still going to be good. I think they're going to be the best Group of 5 conference team. UCF still has a ton of potential going into next year. 19 is Syracuse. They had a great end of last season, being West Virginia, I believe. Syracuse, I do expect to be great once again next season. They're not going to be as high in the rankings as they were. They're losing a few players that are going to be key for them going into next year. But Syracuse, I do believe, still will be a great team. They make the top 20. Kentucky's going to be 18, another very surprising team last season. I really didn't expect Kentucky to be as great as they were. Yeah, Kentucky, I still expect to be kind of hanging around in the rankings. I don't expect them to do anything crazy next season. But in Kentucky, though, they still will have that talent on their team. Kentucky, definitely, I'm going to put them at 18 right now. Washington State, another big Pac-12 contender. They're going to be at 17. It'll be interesting to see how this team does. I don't think they're going to go to the Pac-12 championship. I think Washington is going to take their spot there. Washington State still will be a pretty good team. They're going to be at 17 next season. Auburn is going to be our 16, and we got a ton of SEC teams on this list. Auburn being, I believe, our 4th or so, something like that. Yeah, Auburn still will be a good team next season. I'm expecting them to be dangerous. I think they'll pull off a couple of big upsets. It'll be interesting just to see which ones they are. Next up, we've got 11 through 15. We got Penn State, LSU, Texas A&M, Washington, and then Iowa State as well. A few things to know. We got Iowa State at 15. This is going to be a team I expect to finish 3rd in the Big 12. They're really going to contend up there. And I think they're either going to be Oklahoma or Texas. They play both. They're either going to be one of them, one of those two. And it's going to be interesting because I think they play them almost consecutively as well. They play them at almost the same part of the season. But it'll be really interesting to see how Iowa State does. I think they're really going to contend in the Big 12. Should be interesting to see how they do. Washington's at 14. Once again, they probably will make the Pac-12 championship game. They'll probably play Oregon. That's who I've got right now. And Oregon will get up to them in a little bit, but Washington still will be a good team. 13 is Texas A&M, another team from the SEC that will be great next season. Jimbo Fisher, lots of talent on their team as well. Their offense is going to be great next year. And I think people they're kind of overreacting on this team, I think, a little bit. Texas A&M's schedule next season, I'd say, is probably one of 3 teams in the Power 5 conferences. And their schedule is brutal. They've got several tough matchups. 1 year in the SEC, so you've already got to play several tough opponents. And then 2, they also play Clemson week 2 on the road. It's going to be difficult for Texas A&M next season. Yeah, they're going to be a great team, but I don't think it's going to be their year this year. It's just too brutal a schedule for Texas A&M. LSU, another SEC team, going to be great next season. I've got them at number 12. Penn State's going to be at 11, another Big Ten team. They're going to really contend in the Big Ten East, but however, they're going to fall short of the Big Ten championship. I've got them finishing 3rd behind Ohio State and Michigan. But yeah, they're still going to be hanging up there. Probably will get a pretty good bowl spot as well. 6 through 10, we got Texas, Georgia, Oregon, Florida, and Notre Dame. I've got Notre Dame at 10. This is probably, I'd say, the thing is about Notre Dame is that they're in an independent conference. So the thing is that you don't have any conference championships there. You don't have anyone really to play to prove that you are college football playoff worthy. The only way that you can do that is if you win every single game. And that's what they did last season. That's how they got to college football playoff. And that does not happen in the 2019 season. Notre Dame, I believe, will fall 1 or 2 games, but it will still keep them in the top 10. Notre Dame still is going to be a great team next season. So if you play Notre Dame, they are a dangerous team that you have to watch out for. Florida's number 9. Yet another SEC team. I think Florida's going to be way up there next season. I'm expecting big things from them. Felipe Franks at quarterback, he's excellent. I really think he's going to help lead his team to a pretty good spot, and they're going to get to a pretty good bowl game as well. Oregon's number 8, Pac-12 champion right there. But the thing is, though, being a Pac-12 champion, I don't think will be enough for the Pac-12 conference schools this upcoming season. For Oregon, you have to be big, or you have to be the Pac-12 champion. And I also believe that you have to win almost every single game. If you're even 11-1, I think they're going to consider even leaving you out. You have to be 12-0. If Oregon can go undefeated and they win the Pac-12 championship, it is very likely that they do get one of those top 4 spots. But otherwise, you really risk your chances of being either 5th or 6th. In this case, I have Oregon going 10-2 next season. They're going to finish 8th. Georgia's number 7, another SEC school. They're going to lose, or they're not going to make the SEC championship. And so that's why I've got them at 7. Texas is number 6. And now I had them number 4 in my previous rankings for my pre-spring rankings, but I don't think Texas is going to really be at quite 4 yet. I think they're going to lose the Big 12 championship to Oklahoma. Texas has a great offense, but their defense, I think, is what's going to hinder them from getting the college football playoff this season. But yeah, Texas still will be a great team. They're going to put up some great wins. I just don't think it's going to be their year quite yet. Even though, top 6 compared to recent years where they've been down, that is already a major accomplishment for that Texas team. Nothing to be upset about there. Now we've got your top 5, Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Ohio State. And Clemson and Alabama easily take up the top 2. I'd be really surprised if one of those 2 teams did not win the national championship once again next season. They're too talented to give up on quite yet. Oklahoma's going to be in my number 3 spot. They win the Big 12 championship game against Texas. That's what jumps them up to number 3. I think Texas, prior to the Big 10 or the Big 12 championship, will be ranked number 4. Oklahoma will be 5 or 6. That win puts them in 3rd, I believe. And then 4 and 5, Michigan and Ohio State. I've got Michigan at number 4. I think whichever one of those 2 teams makes the Big 10 championship will extremely likely win it. We don't see any big standout Big 10 teams in the Big 10 West, of course. I think Michigan wins that spot. They're going to take number 4. We're going to see Michigan in the college football playoff for the first time. Ohio State's number 5, and they missed the Big 10 championship game, and so that puts them at 5, I believe. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Ohio State does, especially with a whole new coach, and Justin Fields will be really interesting to see how they do. Anyway, that is it for my preseason college football rankings. Let me know you guys' thoughts on this in the comments below. The last one I created pre-spring, go ahead and check that out too and see which ones are different. I just decided to do an updated version since the last one that I did was starting to get kind of old. I had Texas at number 4, and I was like, nah, I'm not putting Texas at 4 anymore. I just did more looking into that team and just looking at their defense and how much they lost there. It's just tough to say that Texas is going to make it to the playoff next season. Yeah, once again, we'll have to see. They are still a big contender for that position. Once again, let me know your guys' thoughts on this in the comments below. I like to hear your guys' thoughts. Don't let them go unknown if you disagree with this. Once again, stay tuned for more from AFC.